Hey everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Honest Pod in the new year. And I'm Ashton McAllister.
And I'm Matthew Ali.
And yeah, here we go. First episode of 2019.
Oh, no. We
I
started
really had to fight the bug
July,
there.
June or July last year.
Late June.
Okay, so not a full 6 months, but still, that's a lot. That's quite a lot, to be honest. We must have quite a few episodes.
I think we're on 22 or 23 now.
Crazy. Crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
How was your Christmas and New Year's, Ashley?
Christmas and New Year's were peachy. I didn't ever feel like Christmas.
What
I
normally
kept
feels like Christmas?
I don't know. I just kept waiting to feel festive, and I didn't this year. And I did early on. I did sort of like when we were decorating the house at the end of November. But then I don't know. Just as soon as December hit, I was just like, no, I'm not feeling it. And I'd go down and see my friend, John Henry's family.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And that's usually the weekend before Christmas, whatever way it falls. And I thought maybe this is the weekend that it's all going to get festive. Came up and no, started cooking. Still no, didn't feel festive. Felt a bit festive on Christmas Day, but was too busy cooking, so didn't really have time to appreciate it.
Like, there
But
was a bombardment of Christmas things. Like, normally you'd feel like Christmas music everywhere, and I don't
yeah,
know, just felt like it'd be like an overload. But I agree with you. Like, I didn't really see or feel.
maybe it's also the temperature was a bit warmer as well, so it never really felt cold and crispy.
It
Just
was warm.
it was warm,
Warm
yeah.
here. I could go out in like a jumper and a hoodie instead of like a big coat and like scarf and stuff. Like it was really, really, really
Yeah, I've not had to wear a coat yet. I don't wear a coat anyway, I suppose, but
because you drive.
oh, yes, right, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So there's no need.
So
But I will say this. I know I was slating you for your terrible, terrible meals that you seem to post on Instagram, but your Christmas dinner looked divine.
it was, man,
It really did.
it was another level.
What did you have? Remind me what you had.
So we had our turkey, which was
Turkey's the worst. But you put it in brine.
I brine it. Yeah, I brine it
Oh
overnight.
my god.
So in the brines, like sugars and salts and spices, and it doesn't leave the turkey like sugary or salty or spicy. It just leaves it sort of full flavored. It's very like it's weird to describe, but it keeps it keeps it moist. It doesn't make it yeah, it doesn't dry it out or anything. It's so good.
Have you done that before?
Yeah, well, I did it. Well, anytime I cook food, it's done properly. Like, mom cooked New Year, and I laid into her pretty hard. And then I roasted it in maple syrup and butter, which left it all nice and glazed, and oh, so good. Then we had ham, which mom did, which was just boiled ham. Ham.
So neat, mum. Honestly,
Well, you could have like glazed it in honey, and you could have
or salt or pepper.
seasoned it, or
Yeah.
you could have tried, but no, just in a saucepan and boil it up. Then the best thing we made this year, which is my first year making it, and it's like everybody loved it, was cranberry stuffed rolled pork.
Oh,
Which oh my god! So it was like it was pork loin that we just flattened down,
okay.
and we just kind of roll. We made what we did like a bacon and cranberry spice stuffing, which we just layered in the middle, rolled it up, wrapped it in bacon, and cooked in the oven. Oh, it was so
Oh my
good.
god.
And then we made gingerbread stuffing, which is rather than normal bread, you just make it with like Jamaica ginger cake with some apples and bacon, and it was oh my god, it was yummy as well.
Why'd you
It
say
was
we?
great.
You and your mum were doing it together.
I say we because mom was in the kitchen when I did it, but she didn't she didn't partake. I wouldn't let her near the stuff when I'm making.
That sounds amazing.
It
Honestly, it
was
really
good. What else? Oh yeah, mom made New Year's dinner, and I said I wasn't going to cook for New Year, and she was like, "Right, well, I'll cook."
is that normally a traditional meal that someone would do?
I don't see the point of it, but we've always sort of had a Christmas Day dinner and then New Year's Day dinner, but I I didn't care. But we had beef. We usually have beef on New Year's Day, and it was cooked. We were supposed to. we were supposed to slow cook it, like so so you get the beef that then falls apart when you eat it.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do that, but I said I wasn't going to cook, so Mom didn't want to get up early to do it because you have to put it in like really early so it's cooked in time. So we had just basically roast beef, and she burnt some of the stuff.
Oh no.
She said we sat down and we ate, and I was like sort of picking through it, and she's like, "Is it okay?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom, it is okay."
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. It is okay. She said, "Well, what did you have done differently?" And I was like, "Well, I would have not been lazy and got up at 6 o'clock and put it in the slow cooker. I would have done the potatoes with rosemary. I would have listed all of stuff." She goes, "Is there anything you like?" And I was like, "The gravy." I made the gravy, so I was like, "I like the gravy." So,
Do you not do anything on New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve? No, I don't. New Year's Eve is just another night for me. I don't really. I mean, I was entertained on New Year's Eve. I had a very entertaining text come through not long after the New
From
Year.
me?
Yeah.
What did I write? I can't even remember now.
Oh, were you drunk or you can't remember?
Of course I was drunk.
Oh, you're in for a
Oh my God,
treat.
yeah. It says something like, "Oh, you're a dick" or something. What did I write?
No.
Oh, I said we're amazing friends.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
It was a lovely thing. It was the thing before that though that made me chuckle.
What New Year gets me every time. I'm a mess.
Yeah. New Year.
Anyway, for those that are listening, like we had a couple of years ago, we had a New Year's. We probably mentioned it, isn't it? Like where I was inconsolable at one New Year's Eve, and I get really emotional around that time anyway. And then not disappoint because you know why? Like we went to this house in Surrey, and then one of the guys, like I went there, and Adam was there as well, my ex, and like we get on really well, but it's been a very hard year for both of us, right? And one of them was like, "Oh, why don't we do it for fun?" And no one even wanted to do this, but he was like, "Why don't we do what was the best thing that's happened to you in 2018? And then what are your goals for 2019? And it was hard to put in context when like me and Adam were like sitting across from each other, like one of the most difficult years that we've ever had. I know for me it has been anyway. And come up with anything, and even that made it even worse. I was like, "Oh my God," like it's been that bad. Like you couldn't think of anything. I did manage to think of something which is good, but yeah, that got me really emotional. So I was like, I didn't cry that much. Did I cry? I teared up a little bit.
You must have. You're texting me saying you're a mess. Or
I wasn't crying though, because I was messaging. I was just emotional anyway. So I messaged like my mum, and then like my older brother. Actually, I sent him a nice, hopefully, text message just saying like he's doing really well at the moment, like him and his son and stuff. And I told him we spent time chatting over Christmas, and I just told him, we had a great relationship growing up, but I told him that I'm really proud of him for what he's doing, and he's doing really, really well. Honestly, about the history. I think a little bit about my family, my brother. Yeah. Changed his life around. He's doing incredibly well. And he's taking care of his son. He's taking care of his body. He's just doing
awesome.
Yeah, so that's going well. The thing I did say, the best thing about my 2018 when we were asked was the relationship with my mum. The fact that so much and that we're getting on really, really well. This year has changed us a lot because we've had a lot of deep conversations. We've been very open with each other, and our relationship is better than it's ever been.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so that was a good thing about that. But I was a hot mess when I messaged you. But I didn't crying.
Oh, well, I thought you were crying. When you said you're a mess, I thought you were like...
No. I would have sent you a video.
You didn't send me a video.
I would have sent you a video if it was...
Yeah. So historically, the story is we were at a party in London. Well, it must have been about 3 or 4 years ago. It was 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago because we both had just broken up with people. And we were on the balcony and you just started crying. And I just wanted to get the camera out so badly just to record you crying on New Year's Eve. And we were all on this balcony, I thought. And I remember the time it was just me and you. And I was like, okay, not a good time to be crying New Year's Eve over a balcony. I was like, right, well, just take him inside. Take him inside.
Oh, that's not what you thought.
No, I didn't think that. Well, for a slight second, I thought,
Oh, no. I'm not that dramatic.
I think the best thing for me, 2018, is, I know we talk about it all the time.
Oh my God, I knew he was going to say it.
I know, you knew I'm going to say it.
The gym.
Oh, no, I was going to say my face.
Oh, I wouldn't say it now because I can see your face now. It's shining like a diamond.
It is the gym. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting back into the gym. Yeah. And
You're obsessed with it, boy. Like every weekend, you just like see like pictures of you and posts of you with like your gym buddies and going for coffees and exercising all the time. And I'm like, oh my God.
Look, there's worse things to be doing. It's healthy. But yeah, before we get into the thing, we do have to give a shout out because Mickey, who runs our gym, Mickey Walsh, who I tag a lot in our stories, he shared Honest to Pod on his Instagram, and off the back of it, we got a few more listens. People who started following us who weren't following us before. So thanks very much, Mickey.
Thank you, Mickey.
I know he'll appreciate it.
That's so fun. Oh, that's what came into my head.
Yeah.
You know the song? You must do, right?
I know the song, yeah.
Oh, good. That's me confused.
No, I'm just not going to sing about Mickey Walsh because he's not. His head's big enough as it is.
Okay. I wasn't going to say he's so fine. It was, anyway. Well, why don't we get into our topics?
Let's get in.
Why don't you go first?
No, you go first. Yours is more exciting.
It is. So, I want to talk about this before Christmas, but then forgot about it. But luckily it's come up again because you might have seen about the Oscars, and Kevin Hart was there he was picked at the beginning of December to be the host for the Oscars for April. And then 2 days later, past tweets of his had come up. They put in between 2010 and 2011, and they were quite homophobic tweets, right? And so these would all come up on Twitter by a bunch of like reporters in the media and stuff. And then he decided, he was asked by the Academy to apologize, or they'd have to find someone else to host the Oscars. For him, hosting the Oscars was like a big dream. You know, the Oscars are looking to be more diverse over like a couple of things. You know, like the Oscars being too white. He would have been the fourth African American to host the Oscars in its entirety.
Yep,
it's quite a big thing. But he didn't want to. Well, first he said he didn't want to apologize, and so he stepped down.
Yeah,
these tweets are from up to 10 years ago, like his jokes and stuff like that. Have you seen any of the tweets?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the they are pretty nasty. I think the one that sticks out with a lot of people is the one where he said if his son was gay, he would beat him up or something like along those lines. I'm not too sure word for word what it was, but
yeah, he said, "Yo, if my son comes home and tries to play with my daughter's dollhouse, I'm going to break it over his head and say in my voice, 'Stop, that's gay.'" I think that's really harsh.
Oh, massively harsh.
It's horrible, yeah. There's one that says, "Why does this person's profile pic look like a gay billboard for AIDS?" And then there's another that says, "Why does this person have so many pictures of me in his phone? What are you, some type of fat fag that takes pics of small black men all day?" So they're pretty vile, right?
They are vile.
So he stepped down. He got slated for it. Then recently it came back up because he was on Ellen. He was on the Ellen show in America. She's an openly lesbian woman. She's got her own sort of troubles, and she is someone who is. She's a good representative generally of like the troubles and coming through as a gay person, because originally she had a show when in the 90s she decided to come out as gay, and then they cancelled the show, and then she was out of work for a couple of years because of it. And
but she's also a trailblazer for anyone in the industry who is gay. Like she led the way. Like I remember the very funny conversation she had with the guy who plays Jack on Will and Grace, where he was like, he said something like, "Oh, our show did this," and she's like, "Well, if it wasn't for me doing this, you wouldn't have a job." I was like,
well, on the show, she did that on the talk show.
She did on the talk show, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's quite a big deal, I would say, that like out of all the shows that he could go on to talk about it, because he hadn't said anything. The only thing he said was, "I've apologized enough in the past. and I don't want to keep apologizing. And his excuse for not saying anything sooner, which not that I can kind of understand, but I think when people come out with things quite quickly, and quite often people will say things that are, I don't want to say misinterpreted, but somehow it can be twisted into ways that maybe they don't mean, because it's quite quickly after. Sometimes from a PR perspective, you need to really consider what you say.
Yeah.
But he'd taken quite a long time because he hadn't spoken about anything really until this interview, from a tweet being like he apologizes for what he has already apologized. Although it wasn't really an apology. He said it was, I'm sorry. He wouldn't say those jokes anymore because people weren't as sensitive back then. Which, in some people's eyes, doesn't seem like an apology. Or if it is an apology, it's very weak because it's not so much, I'm sorry for the impact that my words may have on the community, but
yeah,
people are sensitive. I know not to say it to not upset people, which is slightly different, I guess.
It's a non-apology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I was like, well, like people do grow up, people do grow up. People do grow up, they do learn. They do deserve an opportunity to not necessarily keep on apologizing and go over their past. But if you've made mistakes, it shouldn't be held against you for the rest of your life completely, potentially, depending on what it is, but maybe in this instance. And when I watch the Ellen show, like I'm quite easily swayed, and I like Ellen. I actually like Kevin Hart in the things that he's in. And, he's saying like he didn't want the Oscars to be about him. He didn't want the whole to be overshadowed and those that win awards to not get the recognition, but actually just talking about him. And the reason why he didn't want to apologize is that it's not that he didn't want to apologize. He didn't want to apologize again. He's been apologizing. But actually no one can find these apologies. They can't actually find these apologies that he says apart from, I apologize for others being so sensitive.
Which is a
in one interview, he was like, oh, well, funny is funny and jokes are jokes. He might have been apologizing again and again, but I don't know if he's actually apologized.
Well, I mean, he says he has, but I've not actively looked for the apology. But if anything, I agree with you. I'm a firm believer that depending on what each case is individual, and you have to just judge it as it is. But if you said something 10 years ago, it doesn't hold up the same today. And I think it's unfair to hold him to messages he said, as vile as they are. I think what he needs to say is what he said in that Ellen interview is what his apology should have been. It's like, yes, said these things 10 years ago. I've evolved. I've spent those 10 years dedicating to make change and make it better. Not to say it's one and all, but as a black man as well, people who is marginalized, he should. I always think the people who are marginalized should stick together.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah, so he should know what it's like to be, or especially his history of the culture, of the black culture. He should know what it was like to be a victim. Know that it's not okay to be made fun of, and the stuff he wrote about his son, that's all disgusting. If anything, I think he should use this opportunity as a teaching moment to say, look, what he said in the Ellen interview was what his apology should have been, not like, I'm sorry that people are so sensitive.
But she's getting a lot of flack for it.
Sorry?
She's getting a lot of flack for the interview herself. Yeah,
well, she apparently called up the Academy, the Oscars, and said, look, I think Kevin should be a great host. And they said that, we think it was a big misunderstanding. The communication must have broken down or whatever it might have been. So I guess potentially in the future he might be the host.
Well, they haven't announced anyone else so far.
I thought they announced a duo, like Sandra Oh. I thought that was announced.
No, she did Golden Globes. Is she doing the Oscars as well?
So did she do the Golden Globes?
She just did the Golden Globes with Adam Sandberg.
That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah, so at the moment, as far as I'm aware, they haven't announced someone to do the Oscars. And obviously from the Ellen show, they said they're still, potentially they're holding out for the decision that he's making. And actually it's on him. And he's saying he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to tarnish the Oscars and the focus not to be on him. And at this point in time, he doesn't see that he will do it himself. And this I kind of agree with, because I think he should be given a platform, an opportunity to speak. And it's a good, obviously, PR move to then go to a show that's hosted by a lesbian woman who is a trailblazer, who stands by him. She stood up for him, and she said, I believe you should host it. She said, we should block out all the haters that brought out all these tweets, because he said it's a personal attack. Because he's like, it's not coincidental that 2 days after, a day after this is announced, all of these tweets come out.
Yeah.
Because she didn't ask him enough probing questions.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I didn't get to watch the whole interview, but I guess she could have been a bit more like, well, why would you say that? Or
She didn't ask any questions. It was just him speaking.
Yeah, I seen that bit. But Ellen is also one of those ones, like, as much as I love her, she's so unoffensive. She's not, I can't think of any interview that I've heard of Ellen actually asking those hard to ask questions.
Yeah, because I guess she's not necessarily a media type. She's not a reporter. Like, she's not there to talk and to chat, isn't it? And give people an opportunity to.
But Oprah would ask those questions.
Yeah, I mean, like, historically, not saying that her show should be. It's your own show. You can do what you want with it. But like, as a representative of like the community, is it her responsibility to ask him those questions about why he said those things and what his beliefs are now? Or for him to publicly apologize and also ask why he's apologizing, because he hasn't asked why he's apologizing.
Yeah, I don't think it's her. I don't think she counts for every single LGBT person in the world. I think it's her show and she can ask and she can take whatever view she wants. I just like, I don't find Kevin Hart that funny.
I think he's funny.
I think I've heard about 2 short jokes from him, and then after that, everything else is just a short joke that just falls flat. I think I watched him in that Jumanji film not that long ago. I know he was good in it. He was good in it, but it was short joke here, short joke there, overreaction here, overreaction. I don't think he's that great. I'm sure he's a great guy, and maybe I've just not seen enough of his work, but anything I do see is just a short joke, and I don't really think the Oscars should be about short jokes. I mean, there's so many other people you could get to do it.
Well, apparently not. Apparently it's
Maybe nobody wants to do it.
Did you hear it? Did you read that?
No, I didn't, but I just imagine that it's so taboo now, you don't want to do it. Like, there's so many straight white men I think would be good, like Steve Martin or Martin Short, some of the old comedians of yesteryear.
But people are turning it down. Oprah's never done it. She turned it down. A whole bunch of people, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, turned it down, even though they did the Golden Globes. People are saying no to it. It's actually really hard to find someone to do the job.
Jeez.
Yeah. I think because it's got like the reputation now of not being so open and diverse and things like that. So that's why, someone like Kevin Hart would be ideal, but you don't want someone who then seems to represent one thing, but then, discriminate against another. When I first went into it, especially when I saw the interview, I was swayed and I was like, he shouldn't have to keep on apologizing and be sorry for what he done in his past. Your past is your past. You learn from those things. I think the issue is one thing that I would say you should watch, it is 10 minutes long, is someone on CNN called Don Lemon, is a news anchor.
Yeah, I know him.
And he's a gay black man, and he talks about it, and it is the most interesting take on what has happened so far. And he doesn't think it's enough to just say you're sorry, potentially, and that's it. But actually, you need, for there to be change and for you to truly sort of, I guess, learn from it, is to be an ally and actually show what you're doing within the community.
100%. I agree.
Because at this point, he's saying, I ignored the first time. He said Kevin Hart ignored when it happened, ignored it because he doesn't feel like he needs to apologize. That was his first reaction.
Yeah.
I don't want to apologize again. But he ignored it, then said he didn't want to apologize again, but didn't really apologize. And there's nothing to say that he's done anything within the actual community to say, you know what, I understand the impact of the kind of words that I would say and that I'm an ally.
Yeah.
I don't believe that he's done anything that he can to support our community.
He says he has in the 10 years since he made it, but I mean, I've not seen it, but that's what he says in the Ellen apology. Like when he's talking to Ellen, he says all that. But I like I said, it's what he says there that should be his apology, not
on the Ellen show.
Yeah, on the Ellen show. Like he's like what he said there.
But he did say he was sorry on it.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the mob mentality either. Like I'm not a big fan of the whole thing. Like the world we live in now is picking people apart, and then the flash that comes with it, just all these people jump on it and make a massive deal out of something. This is this is quite significant because it's one of the biggest televised things in the world.
Well, it's getting less and less now.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, and I think he's done the right thing by saying if he did do it now, it'd be more about him and less about the art, which is a good point to make. They're just going to have to ask you and me to do it, I think.
Oh my God.
Would you do it?
I would turn it down.
I'd do it.
Of course you would. You're a white cisgender male.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I need to represent for the black LGBT. I don't know I don't know why people turn it down. I don't know what's happened for people to be like, maybe it is the fact that it's got this reputation of being very
Why you're asking why white people are turning it down?
people in general, not just white people, but although white people are like hosts in general.
White people are scared.
Yeah.
They don't want to do anything at the minute. They don't want to step out of line.
I will say, like, I do think Ellen should have asked some questions about what happened. I know that, like, you stick by your friends, and if you're friends with it and stuff, but you need to dig a little bit deeper. He needs an opportunity to speak. If he's going, or if he needs to put himself in a position where someone will.
Yeah,
because he went into a position where it was only his voice being heard, and no one's actually questioned him on what has happened. Do you know what I mean? And then he sort of sent out a response. Basically, still saying the same thing. We need to learn. We're not going to get it straight away. And not tweet an Instagram, a post. But he's not given someone the opportunity to actually genuinely ask him about how it's helped, if he believes he should. And also, does he want his children, how would he feel about if his children were to be gay now? If he said he's changed the way that he has in the past 10 years, how would he feel now?
Like he should be saying, obviously, I don't think that, or if that's what he believes.
What, that he just doesn't want his children to be gay?
Well, obviously, in my head, in his apology, he should be saying, obviously, if my son was gay, I wouldn't be slapping him about.
Absolutely. And you could say it'd be difficult for you, but I think someone should ask him that question.
Yeah, totally.
To be honest. Because he calls the media trolls, and says that if he hosts and if he responds to them, that he's just feeding the trolls, and that the media people are trolls, and they're trying to ruin his career and his character. But then there's the argument say, well, the media had only unveiled what he'd already said. They didn't write it for him. But then someone needs to work to go and find the information, from about someone. They'd have to go out of their way to look for something, to see whether they've done something. That would be you'd be targeted. That's what you look for, right?
What he should have done is, if he was like, I don't want to apologize again because I feel like I've already done it, here's the proof. But he didn't even do that. And then sorry?
What he sees as an apology is just saying, I would never say those jokes again because people are sensitive.
Yeah. You're not saying the jokes because you don't believe them. You're saying the jokes because you want to keep your paycheck.
Can you say, because one of his lines is, I don't want my sons to be gay, but I'm not homophobic. Can that be true?
I think it can be true, but I think in my head, it's a misguided opinion. I think a lot of people would think it's easier being straight than it is being gay, and I would say it definitely is.
100%.
So if you were saying it from, I want my kid to have an easy life and not have to face unnecessary hurdles, maybe. I don't think it's right. As a gay guy and who's got a good career, I've done quite well for myself. I don't think it's homophobic. I think it's just ignorant to say something like that.
Potentially, I'm not, you don't need to be homophobic to say that statement, but it would be ill-informed to say no, I think I agree with you. You can be homophobic and say, I don't want my son to be gay, but you can.
Oh, you can definitely be homophobic and say that, but if you say it, it doesn't necessarily make you homophobic. But it's a very thin veiled line.
I mean, out of everything, even we are gay people. You can live a very good life.
The best?
I think so. So it's not that deep. Oh, imagine being in Africa and something being gay. like in some of these countries.
I'd have such a good tan.
That's a really bad joke.
I would every tan because it'd be sunny, right?
You'd probably also be thrown off a building for being.
Oh yeah.
You have to keep it in secret. In that instance, I would say fair enough. You know, if you're in like places where it's illegal to be gay.
To my ex, we were together. He wanted us to move to Dubai as a couple.
Why?
He just, I think he went out and seen what good way of life they had, and you had to pay zero tax. And he's like, "Oh, we can move out there." And I'm like, "Yeah, but this is when we're 5 years into our relationship as well." And I was like, "Yeah, but we wouldn't be able to be a couple." He goes, "Yeah, we would, but we just have to keep it secret." And I'm like, "I'm not going back in the closet for anyone. I'm sorry, but it's not happening."
Mm-hmm. That's hard work.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, we'd have to be housemates." And I'm like, "No," because I'd always be looking over my shoulder. I'd be like, you know,
no one can see. He's looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, nobody can see that, but I was looking over my shoulder. You'd always have to just be so careful. No.
Yeah, I don't want to go back there. Like, I really don't want to have to go and hide myself. I want to be able to scream. I want to be able to do whatever I want, be effeminate as much as I want to, if that's, you know, a signal of me being gay. I want to be able to live, you know, my own life and do what I want to. And I don't want someone to say that how I want to behave is illegal. And also the way that how I behave is a way that I shouldn't. Whether it is in a way that someone would say is like stereotypically gay, you know? I want to be myself.
You're awesome. You should be.
Anyway, I was going to say, actually, and I guess I always say like, I don't always form a stance, but I actually think that I don't care if he hosts the Oscars or not. I think it's possible. I still think it's possible for him to host the Oscars, right? At this point, I still think it's possible for him to do that. And it may overshadow, but that's going to happen now, regardless of whoever's there. If someone takes over, whether they're a black, woman, gay, whatever, if they ever say if they got like a gay black guy, to like Kevin Hart for sure, right? I don't have a problem with him hosting the Oscars now. I think, and I believe, for him to show that he's truly sorry and said it, he needs to do something within the community. I don't think he's done enough.
He's not done anything that springs to mind to balance the vile tweets that he sent out.
They're really bad.
They're not even like I think, I remember when those came out, I remember somebody said, what about these female comedians who also use the word faggot in their tweets? I think like they gave a long list, like Sarah Silverman and like maybe Tiffany Haddish as well. I think a lot of it comes down to context and intent. The intent of their tweets was never aggressive towards gay. It was using the F word, talking about something else.
I don't think always it's about the intent or the context, especially if you're tweeting. Like, there is no context, there's no tone. Like, so
context is wrong. I meant intent. Sorry, intent.
Okay,
it's the intent.
But intent because there's no tone. Because from words you can only read. You'll interpret that yourself, right? If you hear someone speaking it, sometimes you can almost, you get more from it than just writing. And I don't think, and even just using the word, you can't normalize that word, especially if it's not your word.
No, but
it was Sarah Silverman, which she got in trouble for using that word anyway, and other people like that.
No, but I mean in the sense of, for example, if somebody was to call you a fag in an aggressive way, that to me is homophobic.
Right.
But if somebody, I think we've talked about this before, I've definitely mentioned it before, if somebody was to call you something like, casually, so like a friend, who nobody's aggressive or anything, just do this, don't be such a fag.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right to say it, but the intent isn't hurtful. It's not meant to be aggressive towards you personally. I'm not saying it's the right choice of words, but it's definitely a lot more forgiving than somebody who's aggressively calling you a faggot. Do you know what I mean? It's the intent behind the word.
I do think there's an element of ownership of the word, though. Like, I wouldn't accept that. I wouldn't think it'd be okay for someone who wasn't gay to say that.
I don't think it's okay anybody to say it, but I could forgive somebody who said it a lot easier because the intent wasn't like his.
I would be less likely to if it was someone who's like a straight male or a straight woman.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, but for example, Kevin Hart's tweets where he says the word fag, they're disgusting. They're homophobic. But Sarah Silverman, she shouldn't use the word, but she used the word, but it wasn't intently focused on gay men in any way. It wasn't. It the word itself is obviously not a great word to use, but her tweet wasn't an attack on gay people.
No, I get that bit. I did. Well, I already said it. I think there are like, I think there is a certain ownership of certain words. Like, you know, it's like the N word. Like, not that I use it, and I don't think anyone should. But also, like, you know, black people take it and say that it's a word that so that we take the word back and the power from it. And I think that's the word for like faggot as well. Like, I think if someone can say it and someone called me that, I would be more willing to accept it if it was from a gay person than if it wasn't. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's say, yeah. I mean, I don't use the word casually anyway. The only time I think I've ever used it is whenever we talk about it on here.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know a reason why I would use it.
No, there's no reason why anybody would say that word or the N word.
I don't like words like that. Like, I don't understand why someone would be like, even if you were reclaiming the word, there's no need to be like, you puff. Like, I just can't envision a scenario where I'd want to use that. But then, no, I don't even say that's gay.
I don't use that.
I say bitch a lot.
Bitch is a female dog. A dog is nature. And
no, that word was like used against women, but I'll say it to everyone. In fact, I'll say it to men, women, gay, straight, dog, cat. I use that word a lot. And I don't know.
I use the word a lot.
And you use it a lot because they want to reclaim that word because they would have become bitches in a really bad way. And
did you see the video of the woman years ago where she's like all the different ways to say the word bitch? She's like,
no, oh, what bitch?
Yeah, she's like, when you want to get her attention, bitch. Whenever you've got gossip, bitch.
Yeah, I've seen it. She's in a car, is she? Am I making that up?
Yeah, no, she's in a car.
Yeah, it's good.
I love that.
It's true.
It's so true. Bitch.
Well, that's me done.
Oh, awesome. Well, I want to talk about the female UFC fighter who leaves the robber bruised and bloodied after he tries to rob her using a cardboard gun in Brazil. So this is a 26-year-old UFC fighter called Polyana Viana. And I showed you the picture. So the Brazilian UFC star held the guy until police arrived at the scene in Rio de Janeiro, and it later emerged that the gun he was holding at gunpoint was cardboard. But this boy's face,
he got fucked up.
It makes me feel sick looking at it.
I mean, I know he tried to rob her, but I feel really sorry for this person.
I know what you mean. I think she did an awesome job. Like, you know, well done. The lesson is don't rob people. Like, look at the picture. Yeah, I can't. I know what you mean. His face looks so fucked up that you almost want to be like, oh, I feel sorry for him.
But did you read the words?
What words?
Like what she'd said to him and what he said to her. I
didn't read it all. What was it?
Well, then he begged her. She was like, "I'm going to call the police," and he begged her to, so that she would stop beating him up. She beat him up, and then she got him in a headlock, like she got him in a chokehold, and held him there. Some like passers-by to call the police, and he was like, "I want you to call the police." And then after he was like, "Oh, I was just trying to get the time from you."
Oh yeah.
And she was like, "No, you're not. No, you wasn't."
Yeah, because I think that's how he started. Is like he asked her for the time, and then he had a supposed gun in his pocket, which was turned out to be cardboard. But I just thought it was. I don't know if it's the right conversation to have after that, but it just got me thinking about when it comes to trans people in sport.
How did you segue?
This is the way my brain works. This is a woman who beat up a man.
She's not trans, by the way, just to put it out there.
No, she's not trans, no. But,
okay.
This is a woman who beat up a man. And I was sort of thinking, when it comes to things like boxing, if you had a male person trans to be a female, would it be fair for her to compete against other women, given that the muscular build of men is biologically different from men to women?
You asked me that question.
Well, that's the question I came in my head. I don't know if you had an opinion on it. I was thinking about it some more, and I know we have in some of the rugby clubs in England and here that you'd have women who transition to be men and they play in a male rugby club, which I think is totally fine, because you know you're kind of, because it's unprofessional, you're already signing on to the consequences of you're going up against people who might be bigger than you, not necessarily, but might be bigger than you, and it's a bit of fun and friendly sport. But in a professional arena, is it fair, do you think? Do you have any thoughts?
I do. I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay.
Because I think this is in one of the earlier podcasts that we've spoken about something along these lines. We're talking about when men and women can, be equal or, have equality in some ways. And sport is one of the only areas where it's still very physiological. Men have an advantage over women in a majority of sports purely by nature, right? Generally stronger, faster, bigger than women on average. When it comes to most sports, especially like combat sports, if you're doing MMA or boxing and fighting sports like that, if you're playing rugby, football, anything, is okay. I think it needs to be looked into, and I think that there needs to be a better understanding of it. There's never been a giant study on what makes someone more physically able. Right? If it's got to do with testosterone or estrogen in your body and things like that, I think there's talk of measuring the amount of testosterone in your body. Mm-hmm. How long you've been transitioning for is also really important, where you are in that stage. Because your body does change as you take your testosterone. I don't think there's enough study into it.
No. It's interesting.
I'm going to give you an example of something that happened at the beginning of the year in America.
Okay, go for
it. So there's a transgender female to male called Mac Beggs, who was 18 years old at the time, and he had won.
Female to male.
Female to male. Right. Identifies themselves as a male. Mm-hmm. Has been transitioning, but was not allowed to compete against men.
Right.
And so had to compete against the women, but had been taking testosterone and things like that to transition, and won the whole competition. The statewide competition. Was the best wrestler in the female division, despite the fact that he was not female.
Well, to me, that's unfair. I don't know. It seems. I don't know, because it seems unfair both ways.
Beggs to wrestle in the boys division, but the rules for Texas public high schools require athletes to compete under the gender of their birth certificate.
Yeah.
He entered this year's state tournament with a 32-0 record, beating 3 female wrestlers on his way to the championship. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And what is he supposed to do?
It seems unfair both ways.
Why is it unfair? What is unfair both ways?
Well, to me, it seems if he's taking testosterone, has he then got an advantage over a woman who's not taking testosterone? If he's then going to be having to fight women?
You do. Your body changes.
Yeah, so he's got an advantage over them.
Yeah.
But then when you move it up to the next, if he's competing against other men, do the other men have an advantage over him because their bodies are biologically built differently?
That's why I'm not sure if there's been enough study into how it would work exactly because of that.
Yeah, well, to me, it seems unfair both ways. First instance, unfair on the other woman, and the second instance, it's unfair on him because he's going to be at a disadvantage. I mean, it'd be awesome if he, signs a waiver, competes against other men, and then beats them all up, boxing in legitimately boxing terms or wrestling terms. But
I mean, no, I think that's a disadvantage, not because they get beat up. I think that's an assumption you'd make. This wants to be able to compete at they want to, fair enough. The disadvantage is that you're not able to compete in the level that you want to.
Yeah, but if it's a safety thing,
Well, that's why any sport, and especially combat sports, it can be contentious, but then that becomes on the lines of, if you choose to do that and you want to both not choose your identity, but identify yourself, why should you not be able to do the same in this athletic arena? I mean, I guess it really works if you're going from female to male and male to female, isn't it? If you're going to female to male, well, if you feel like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage because your body is taking less time to develop, testosterone, 2 years before, then fair enough, because you might be saying you're putting yourself at a disadvantage physically. But then if you're going from male to female, your body may have already been developed. So then to compete with who potentially might be smaller, not as strong as you, then how can you decide, I think there's somewhere in the future for sports to be both cross-gender, somehow mixed, and a space for transgender people. I just think that there needs to be a way of assessing your physical ability at that point in time.
There is a sport already that does this.
Chess?
CrossFit.
Do they compete with each other?
You can compete in teams. Well, I compete against women every day at the workout I do.
That's you've got a little lady body. No, but how does that happen? I don't understand.
No, I'm just saying that CrossFit to me seems like a sport where it's
relative to you and your body, is it?
Yeah, they don't put men up against women, but in a team workout you would, like the exercise a woman would be doing, the man would do the same workout. The difference might be women would usually do lighter weights.
I mean, some sports like tennis have mixed doubles.
Yeah, that's another good sport. Mixed doubles, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, tennis is another good example.
Golf works in teams as well. So team sports in that respect, where you're not necessarily team sports that work where it's like an aggregate or something that you work towards. All of your individual numbers count as a collective. Fair enough, but it's more like a team one where you're all on the same field.
Yeah,
you've got to be careful about. I guess I think there is a safety issue, but I just think that there needs to be put more into researching what gives someone an advantage, because on average, if you say that men are physically stronger and faster than women, that might be true. But at peak level, if you look at like sprinters, like 0.8 of a second to a second difference, which is far better than a lot of men anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I
think you're right in saying that there needs to be more research done in it.
I just find it strange that you've gone from, a woman beats up a man, so transgender people. That's what confuses me.
No, it was more because, well, it made the news because a woman beat up this man. That's why it's in the news.
But then it destroyed him.
Destroyed him, yeah. His face is pulp.
That happened in the UK, right?
Sorry?
That happened here a couple of years ago.
No.
So there were two guys dressed up as women on a night out. Well,
yeah.
And then a group of lads had started on them and being like, making gay jokes, whatever. And they didn't know that these two were MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And they battered him.
Yeah, I remember the video of the guy getting punched and falling over the seat.
I remember because they were on the Great Big Quiz of the Year when they were talking about it, like, who are these two people? And they were like, they were the two people that beat up the other one. And that made the news, not because it was a woman beat up a man, but the shock that they were getting like hate crimes and then didn't realize they're MMA fighters and got back out.
Yeah. No, well, my thought process for this was this woman destroyed this man. And then I just started thinking, because she's a professional sportswoman, if she was a woman who was to transition into a man and beat up a man, or just got me thinking about that. Because if I ever had kids, they're learning martial arts.
Not at all. I'd never want them to fight.
What? Obviously, I would never want my kids to fight, but I want my kids to be able to defend themselves.
Yeah, that's different. I'll be less like, people don't fight these days. It's not barbarian.
Listen, we were talking not that long ago about people swiping. The world's more dangerous now than it is any other time. People are crazy out there.
Swiping what?
We were talking about people swiping phones off mopeds and stuff.
Yeah, but you're not going to fight someone who just swiped a moped off of you.
No, but if somebody's come up and robbing you and they're threatening you with a knife, I'd be like, nope, no way.
We might want to teach them that material possessions aren't a thing. And if someone wants to, what would you rather, your phone or your life? Because people have lost their lives over material possessions.
Yeah, but somebody might come up and rob you and stab you anyway, regardless. Like, you don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The killers are everywhere.
But if someone wants to take my phone and beat me up and they said, give me your phone, I'm like, here, take it. I don't care.
All right, what if somebody came up to rape you?
That's different. We didn't say that. Robbing.
I'm talking about self-defense. Would you not want to be able to defend?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a different topic. But you know, people go into shock apparently, where even if they could, for some reason, if they feel vulnerable, and in terms of rape, some people go into shock. So it's not so much just the fighting of it; it's more about the ability to calm yourself and mental yourself in the right position, which some martial arts may help you. I don't know.
Well, my kids will be learning martial arts.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's good. I think any good exercise, group discipline, all that sort of stuff's great for children and for adults.
Yeah, it's true.
But I don't want them fighting on the streets. They're going to be too pretty for that.
Your kids will be models.
I think so. That is what I would teach them. I'll send them to runway school. How good that is. And by runway school, I mean I'll teach them how to do runway. Put a runway in the house.
You'll be the headmaster.
Oh my God, yeah. Imagine like these little 4-year-olds in like little heels. So good. A little line of us like ducks, isn't it, you know? I'll teach them how to jump and death drop off a stage.
Oh. So yeah, people leave us reviews and we can call your name out like we did with Mickey Walsh, who shared it on his social, which I thought was awesome. So if people also shared it on social, make sure they tag us that we know that you shared it. Because if you don't tag us, we don't see everything, unfortunately.
But is the year that we're going to get 1 million followers, should we say?
Oh, like 2 million. Let's shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars.
Go for a little stretch.
Yeah. And we'll only get there for beautiful followers and listeners. Share.
It's all on you.
You are so beautiful.
Stop.
To me.
It's like, have you seen it? Over Christmas, because it's quiet, I did a face mask every other day. And it's really paid off.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Have you done something like your beard?
You know what?
Beard. Your beard looks different.
It's a little bit blacker.
You dying?
Well, my barber is very inconsistent and does different shapes, and sometimes it comes out like really 90s R&B. I'm going through one of those phases.
This looks like a George Michael.
Which is the same as a 90s R&B. Anyway, have a lovely week, actually.
Yeah, you too. Look forward to next week.
Yes, queen. I'm saying that a lot now as well. Yes, queen.
Oh, wow. There we go.
I'm a bit behind, okay? Behind on the times.
All right.
Anyway, bye-bye.
Bye.